Hi guys, this is Mark from markchanmovement.com, and in this episode I want to teach you about how the body repairs soft tissue injuries. And I've noticed that when I'm treating clients at the clinic, it's very valuable to them to have a good understanding of how the body takes care of these sort of problems, because rather than me just telling them not to do a certain thing, they understand why they should not participate in certain activities and what kind of things they should be doing. So it takes away a lot of the frustration, and it gives clients the idea that they have a good sense of control in how their body is handling the issue. So I'll lay out the basic concepts and mechanisms of how the body repairs soft tissue injuries. Keep in mind the specifics kind of vary from person to person. If you do a little bit of research about this, you'll see that the days that I use are not exactly comparable from source to source. It doesn't really matter for the example, because the idea is more that you have a general idea of how these different phases occur. So take a look, and I'll give you a little bit of an example. Now, let's say that you sprain your ankle, right? So let me bring this a little bit closer. So we have a bit of a poorly illustrated muscle or ligament here, and let's say you encounter a little bit of damage. That could be a tear, it doesn't really matter. The first initial onset, what happens, and you may know or be familiar with this if this happened to you before, is an inflammatory response for the body, which is characterized by swelling, redness, pain, a decreased range of motion. And these things are all signs of an inflammatory phase. And this can take, let's say, somewhere 3 to 5 days. It can be a little bit shorter, can be a little bit quicker. And again, it doesn't really matter for this example. What you will notice is in this stage, the body is really protective of the area. And you shouldn't be using the area too much. Just allow things to settle down, which, if you're doing that in the right way, allows the body to go to phase 2. In phase 2, which is typically from those 5 days, let's say, to about 14 days, the swelling should be starting to go down. You should have less pain, less swelling, less heat if it did occur before this. And what the body is doing is it's starting to bridge the gap if there is any damage, kind of just patching it up. And you can compare this to if you have a cut in the skin and you can see a little bit of a crust forming, so the body is pretty much making new material, right? And that's kind of happening inside the body as well. So that's for the first sort of 2 weeks. In this phase, again, you still have to be very careful because it's very weak material. It can be a little bit misleading, because since everything is feeling a lot better, you might be tempted to start doing a lot more activities, which can be dangerous because this new material is still very weak. If you overdo it, there's a chance you'll end up inflaming the area again, which sets you back in terms of recovery. So let's assume you don't do this and you make it through phase number 2 in an optimal manner. Then afterwards, this new material has to be what we call remodeled, because every ligament, tendon, muscle has a certain job that they have to do. So this randomly created material has to be remodeled to perform a certain task. And this takes time. So in phase 3, we remodel the new tissue, and this can take a while. So let's say from 2 weeks up to 6 weeks for the new material to become strong and resilient like the previous one. Once you've made it through phase number 3, so you're 6 weeks in, you should notice that everything starts to feel, let's say, at a 90%. Pain is pretty much gone, movement's going up, and again, you'll be tempted to just go back into the activities that you should be doing. But there's one more phase to keep in mind, and that is the phase number 4, which we like to call the functional phase. And this can take up to 3 months or even more. And the functional phase is where you take that new material, the new remodeled material, and expose it to the activities that you need it for. So if you're, let's say, a CrossFitter and you are lifting 120 kgs on a deadlift, and you have a little bit of a tear in your lower back, it may have been remodeled, but it's not up to the strength that you conditioned your previous tissue. So this is important to keep in mind. This means that after those 6 weeks, the initial 6 weeks, you can usually get back to your normal activities, but you still have to keep in mind you might not be as strong as you were before. Still has to be slowly conditioned. Now, knowing about these phases of recovery, again, gives you a very good idea of where do I stand, what should my body be able to do, and what shouldn't I be able to do. It also takes away a little bit of the frustration. If you happen to feel like you're doing better and suddenly you participate in some kind of event and you're doing worse again, it can be very frustrating if you don't understand. Now, if you understand that you may have just, participated a little bit too soon in an event that the tissue wasn't ready for, that makes you understand and allows you to take a step back and sort of reanalyze and take a little bit of an easier going approach. All right, so I hope this is an easy to understand explanation of soft tissue recovery. If you have a question about this or things are not very clear, drop me a message below this video or send me a direct message, and I'll try to get back to you personally, or I'll cover that in another video. All right, thank you for watching. This is Mark Chen. I'll see you next time.